Hey everybody, it's Sonjdradeluxe and today we're doing this drugstore and affordable makeup tutorial for everyday. Last video I did a everyday tutorial, but I used whatever the heck I wanted, so I decided to do a tutorial that's all affordable. So it's not just drugstore, because a lot of stuff in the drugstore is quite expensive and there are a lot of brands that are affordable that you can get online or whatever. I had a few mishaps. Some things didn't quite stick the way I wanted to, just because I do have a little bit of like a lingering eczema rash on my face. So I found some of this stuff went a little bit blotchy, but all in all I think this is really nice. And I also when I was doing my blush, my mascara was too wet and I used a super big brush and it got my mascara and smeared it on my face. So now I have this line here where I tried to fix it. So anyways, if you want to see how to get the look, then please stay tuned. So first things first, I'm going to go into my Rimmel London liquid highlighter and I'm going to put that on all over my skin. Because I have eczema and a little bit of texture on my skin from the rashes, I want to blur it, so using something reflective will help with that. And next I'm going to go into the Wet n Wild Photo Focus Foundation in Caramel, the lighter one, and Cocoa, the darker one. This is a little bit more of a dewy looking foundation on my skin, so I want to make sure that I am putting on enough. So I like to put on a small layer first of the lighter one to blend into my skin and to get my perfect match. Because my face is so much lighter than my body, sometimes I'll mix two foundations, which is why I have the darker one on hand just in case this one's too light. And I'm blending that in with a brush. This is my MORPHE E3 brush, I believe. I'll write it in the description box. And I'm just kind of blending it all over. This is more of like a dewy foundation. It's quite thin. It's not as full coverage as I'm used to, so I'm happy that I'm going in with a second layer on my darker shade, which is the Cocoa. And I'm kind of doing it in my contour areas, I guess. I'm not really contouring with it, but any area that I am probably going to contour, I'm laying down the darker foundation. So whenever you want to add product or leave product where it is, you want to stipple, and whenever you want to kind of take it away or move it around, you want to use a swiping motion. So I'm kind of stippling it on because I want it to be as full coverage as possible, making sure that it's nice and blended once it's kind of in the areas that I want it to be. I'm really impressed with how beautiful the foundation actually looks. It's my first time using it. Next, with my Rimmel London Perfect Matte 2-in-1 Concealer in the shade 430 Medium, I'm going to do my little V shapes underneath my eyes to conceal and to begin highlighting. And right down the center of my nose and in the center of my chin, and I'm kind of squeezing as I'm applying because it's a product that already has an applicator on it, so you want to make sure you're squeezing out enough so you're not taking off your foundation underneath. With the same brush, I'm going to stipple because I want it to stay where it is and I don't want to take away the coverage, so I'm stippling it on to make sure that it is as full coverage as possible and going right underneath my eyes, just blending all those areas that we just carefully highlighted, not so carefully, and we're making sure that it's nice and blended. Of course, I had to get my finger in there a little bit, you know? And we are blending both sides. And as you can see, it takes down a little bit of the sheen. I haven't used this foundation, but what foundation you use can affect the concealer you're using and so on. So I'm just kind of seeing how everything turns out. This is my favorite powder, I think, to set things with. And yes, I'm actually setting my foundation because this is a little bit more of a liquidy, dewy type of foundation, and I'm not sure how long it's going to last, so I'm using a powder. So this is a Rimmel London powder, setting powder. I really like it. It's kind of a peach tone. I did put on a little bit more on the side I'm doing right now than the other side, which I think messed me up a little bit for my contouring. I'll explain that later. I also got a little in my hair, so I dusted it out. But I think if you're going to powder one area, it's good to do a very light dusting everywhere, which I didn't do on my contoured areas, which I think is what made my bronzer a little blotchy. Next, with the Maybeline Master Chrome Metallic Highlighter in Molten Gold, I'm going to highlight my cheekbones. This is a NYX Cosmetics fan brush, and I'm just going on the highest points of my face, and I'm just kind of looking at the way it's blending. It is quite metallic. Usually when I highlight, I do quite big strokes and it blends in a little bit more because I don't mattify my face, so I had to be a little bit more careful with how I was doing my highlight. Next, with the Kiss New York Contour Palette in Deep, I'm going to try and snatch my cheekbones, but like I said, I didn't do a little powder over this side on the contour area, so it went on a little bit blotchy. I feel like that's my fault. Also, it's pretty matte and full coverage, so I had a little bit of a hard time trying to make it look blended. It could also be that it's a little bit too dark, but I did find on this side it went on a little bit more smooth, but I do have, as I was mentioning before, a little bit of texture on my skin from lingering rash. So I'm using very small amount on the forehead and down the nose, but I'm trying my very best to blend that area. I'm also going down the sides of my nose just to snatch it up a little bit with whatever's left over on my brush, because I think it's quite a bit too dark to do my nose just like straight out. Next, with my NYX Precision Brow Pencil in brunette, I'm going to comb out my few eyebrow hairs that I have, and I'm going to work to kind of extend the tail and then drawing a line on top to kind of connect the two and fill it in. Okay, so there's a train going by. Anyways, doing little flicks in the same direction that the hair grows to kind of fill it in. I'm going for more of a natural brow today, even though the shape is not really natural. It could possibly look like I grew these. So filling it in on the bottom and combing it through to blend it, and then just filling in any gaps that I see from where my hair just does not want to grow, and then blending it outwards to lift and elongate my face so it's nice and snatched. Next, with my Rimmel concealer that we used, I'm going to use the applicator and whatever's left over on the brush, very gently squeezing, but I'm just trying to sculpt underneath my brows to lift them a little bit, but I don't really want to look like I have a snatched brow, but I'm just kind of cleaning it up a little bit, blending it all the way around with my fingers so that you can't see the snatching. I'm doing the same thing on the other side. A lot of times when you're using a brow product that is quite a bit lighter than your hair color, which will give a more natural appearance, it's nice to use a light concealer underneath to kind of separate your skin and the light brow color. With my Kiss NY Pro palette again that we used earlier and my Morphe E17 brush, I'm going to contour just below the brow bone, the upper bridge of my nose, and into my crease just to use as a transition shade. And I'm also going to drag a little bit underneath my lash line to make those eyes look nice and big. Next, with the NYX Ultimate Warm Rust Shadow Palette, I'm going to use that light color in the top corner and highlight my eyelids. I really love using a matte shade on the lid because I feel like it just opens it up as a nice clean look. And I'm going to go into on the other side, darkest shade that is matte, and I'm going to add a little bit more definition on the outer corners of my eyes, still in a natural motion because this is a natural tutorial. And I'm gonna drag it underneath ever so slightly. With the kind of burgundy brown color, I'm going to just flick a little bit of that in there to warm it up a little bit. And I'm gonna go into this bottom shade that's really highlighted. It's like a foiled shadow, and I'm going to blend in the inner corners of my eyes, and I guess my nose too is what it looks like, and right underneath my lower lash line just to kind of blend that into my highlight shade. I like to do that sometimes, but it looks a little intense today. Anywho, with my NYX That's the Point liner, I'm going to do a very soft, for me, winged liner. I'm keeping it kind of thin, but I'm dragging it along the outer half of my lash line because I don't want to go right to the center. I just want the drama on the very edge. So winging it out, once you've got your wing, then dragging it towards the center. With my Rimmel London Shake It Fresh mascara, I'm going to do a light coat on the top and generous coat on the bottom, just so that each hair is black for when I put my lashes, and you could always touch up a little bit more after. With my Morphe Sophisticated Lashes, I'm going to slide those down as close as I can to my lash line and then give them a good pinch together so that you can't see my lash or the fake lash. And this side, I got glue all over my eyelid. Anyways, I just wiped it off. With my NYX Lip Lingerie, I'll write the name in the description box because I forgot to bring it over here with me, but I'm just going to do a light coat on my lips. This dries matte. I'm just going to rub my lips together nicely, and I'm going to go into the Wet n Wild Color Icon Blush in Mellow Wine. Sounds delicious. And I'm just going to rosy up my cheeks a little bit, and this is where it went sour. I had wet mascara and I guess my brush caught it and then dragged it on my face. So this is where that line shows up on my face for the rest of the tutorial. So that completes the tutorial. I hope you guys all enjoyed. If you know some good like drugstore faves that you have, like write them in the description box, because drugstore makeup has come a very long way. Like I'm surprised I'm using a drugstore foundation that isn't pink or gray on me. Very impressed. We've come a long way. Share with me some of your drugstore faves, because I like the stuff I use. Or affordable faves, let me know. Thank you guys so much for watching, and don't forget to share, subscribe, and follow. Love yourself, stay pretty, and I'll see you guys again in the next tutorial. Take care.